Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Today, we have with us a special friend, Sharon Buck. She is a gifted intuitive sound alchemist with a unique ability to use powerful sound frequencies to unlock inner peace and joyful freedom. Sharon's diverse skill set includes being a sound healer utilizing crystal singing bowls and sound baths, an advanced certified biofield tuning practitioner, a Reiki master, a licensed massage therapist, and a professional singer and musician. Her journey towards wholeness and healing has spanned decades, and her work is deeply rooted in her personal quest to understand and transmute generational pain. Her profound realization that gentle, grounding tones can bring individuals back to their essential goodness and back to health and balance has inspired her to share these healing vibrations with others. Sharon's expertise extends to both in-person and virtual sessions, making her unique approach accessible to a broader audience. She enjoys working with individuals, couples, and families, as well as offering group retreats. Wow, that's a lot. Happy to have you here, Sharon.
Thanks for having me, Tammy. I'm so privileged.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about I got hold of you or wind of you. I don't even know where we met, but I don't remember honestly, but I do know it was the sound baths and the sound healing because there's so many different modalities out there right now. And I got a little taste of what you do and I just wanted more. So tell us a little bit about kind of how you got started with what you're doing.
Well, it's a windy road, but basically, as you said in my bio, I started out as a musician. Really, I was drawn to music very early, and my parents saw that and got me into music lessons very young. I think I was 6 when I started piano lessons, 7 when I started singing lessons, and I haven't stopped since. And the way I like to describe it is my life has been, led by vibration. I mean, when we sing, we're literally vibrating our rib cage and our bodies. Our diaphragm is moving. It's impossible to not be affected when you sing. And a lot of people say, I can't hold a tune in a bucket. It doesn't matter. Vocalizing, as we know, like with mantras, anything like that, chanting, any of that can really help reset the nervous system. So that's a simple way to do your own sound healing, if you like. I used to teach voice lessons, so there's all that personal layering of what it looks like, what you're supposed to do. But when you take that away, we're left with who this body, this person in this moment in time. And so I just followed this path, and yeah, I think it started with Reiki. Took a Reiki course. I wanted to help a friend of mine who had cancer, and she wanted some support and help. And I heard that this could help, and I went ahead and I just got right away, did all the trainings, and became a Reiki master. And that kind of led me down this other path of energy, which I never really, thought of it really, except it started to really affect me. My life started to change. And then going down that rabbit hole led me to massage therapy, which seems like a little bit of an offshoot, but really it isn't, because our bodies are instruments. Our bodies are amazingly vibrational beings. When the vibration is off, we're ill.
Mhm.
You detect that. And then we go down to, while I was going down the rabbit hole, I thought when the pandemic hit, it was before that. I knew that I wanted to do more with sound way before that, actually. But I found Eileen McCusick and Biofield Tuning. I took an online course. It was through the Shift Network. This was before the pandemic. And it
Mhm.
had such a profound effect on me and my relationships, actually. It had such a, it was very subtle, but all of a sudden things really started to shift. And I thought, wow, what is this? This is so amazing. We're using sound to help heal. This is, I mean, so profound. I mean, I knew this with singing, that people would come up and say, I felt this emotion, or I felt, whatever. But this seemed so amazingly specific in some ways. I thought, I've got to pursue this. So that's how I got trained, and I got certified just before the pandemic hit. And then, of course, I went online because that was the thing to do. And I thought, this is perfect because I can do this virtually. So I started offering virtual sessions to people. And that just led, I immediately also was drawn to singing bowls, and took a class in that, and was gravitated to that. And I thought, a lot of people know about, not everybody, but know about sound baths. They know about singing bowls, or if they don't know, they've heard it. It's an instrument, unlike the tuning forks are a little more, a little bit off the beaten path, I guess. And so I thought, well, this would be a great way to kind of bring people into sound healing, and it has proved to be that a lot of people literally resonate. And that's the fun part about this. When we resonate, that's exactly what's happening. Our bodies resonate and then entrain to the vibrations, the frequencies that we use. So there can be some very profound shifts. And, people say, how does this work virtually? Well, if you experience it, you actually can feel the vibration in your body, not unlike attending a live concert, or listening to a recording of a concert. We can feel a lot of times the original emotions, or the emotions that were transferred via recording. It seems very real because it is. And so, yeah, that's you kind of got me going a little.
Yeah. Oh no, that's okay. And energy is just so powerful in general. I have a friend that lives over in Tampa, so she's over on the other side of the state. And I was having some hip problems. And so she was trying to do some, and I'm like, how, me trying to be open-minded, but I'm like, how are you going to heal me? You're in Tampa or Sarasota. I'm over here. And she has tuning forks, and she
Uh-huh.
loves her tuning forks. And by the time we got off and we're done with her healing session with her tuning forks, I slept well that night. My hip didn't hurt. Really haven't had much, it was like in a full alignment. I'm like, and she never touched me. So
Yep.
energy is super powerful. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
and Jonathan Goldman has been quoted to say that, sound plus frequency plus intention equals healing.
Yeah.
So when we combine frequency with intention, it can be very powerful, and it's very individual. So I can use the same sounds for one person and it has this certain effect on them, and another person it has a totally different effect. Not unlike, what you experienced. I mean, it's not a cookie cutter approach where I'm sure your colleague, if she did the same tuning forks exactly, another person would have different result, or maybe none. I mean, you don't know. But a lot of it is just being open. I think that is important. I find if people are open to the experience, then they're allowing. And this whole thing, it's about getting into the relaxation state. So the relaxation state is where we heal. And we all
Right.
know sleep is good for us. Why?
Right.
Because our bodies heal during sleep. So not unlike different brainwave states, we know that we can get it into a hypnotic state where somebody said, "Wow, I where was I? I don't remember you doing anything." Well, they weren't sleeping. Where were they, right? And so we know that they were in another brainwave state. And that is one of the things, theta is one of the hypnotic states. Delta is the actual sleep state, but theta is often a place where people go. And that's precisely where the body starts to heal.
Yep. So what state are you in when you're listening to like affirmations and you have them? I know they say to listen to like when I record meditations, I do it at what, 5 megahertz or whatever it is. Like there's a range, or I don't remember what it was, but there's a range they say to record them at. And that's specifically for that. But if you're doing, say, a meditation, or what state are you in at that point?
Well, I think that would probably be, well, anywhere from the alpha state to the theta, because theta is more the hypnotic, deeper state. So the one just before that is the alpha, where, person getting a massage, for example, might be in the alpha state, and then they could definitely drift into theta. And beta is more the thinking mind. So with affirmations, I don't, it just depends how they're delivered again, like you were saying.
Right.
Um, but even so, that's why I find it so powerful to combine it with frequency, because it just gets in a little deeper, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty
I
amazing.
I love that saying, frequency plus intention is healing.
Mhm.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have a whole nother layer of, using singing bowls, for example. They'll play off each other, and we'll get different resonances happening, and they will create their own, like, it's hard to explain exactly, but they're overtones, and together they will create a harmonic. And then you add several more or other instruments, you get all this different input, that can be extremely relaxing. And people have, some people have had, like you said, oh wow, my hip pain is gone. how did that happen? Or I had a headache and it's gone. Or I got a headache. That has happened too. I've got a headache. And what does that say? That tells us there's a blockage, a block,
Mm.
usually third eye, sometimes crown. That's in the chakra system. These are energy wheels in our bodies that go along our spine and also are tied into the endocrine system. So the organs come into play. Organs have rhythm. I mean, we're dealing with all of that when you're dealing with frequency. So it can be very powerful. And then with biofield tuning, it's a very specific modality that uses tuning forks around the body. So where you can use it on the body as well. It can be very relaxing combined with massage. People really like that. But there's when we work with the field, the energy field, which is anywhere up to 6 feet out around the body, this is literally the record of our life. It's like tree rings on a tree. We start out on the outer edge, which is usually conception or preconception, sometimes generational stuff comes up, and we'll actually go through the timeline of a person's life. And we can find specifically the tuning fork will get stuck in a spot where there's been some perturbation. In other words, some conflict, some anxiety or anger or whatever, something happened, and your nervous system, your body remembers it, and it's in your field. So we start to release that with the frequency, and we'll use different frequencies, and bring it back into circulation in the body, and all of a sudden the person is noticing all kinds of shifts, either physical, emotional, or spiritual, or all of the above, not to mention relational, right? I mean, it's not uncommon for people, and this is where it's a little scary, right? It's not uncommon for people who want to be practitioners. They kind of warn us when we start the training, be prepared for your life to fall apart a little bit. Because sometimes what happens is relationships that were maybe, marginal before do fall apart, and or a career comes to a halt, or a move or something else happens. It's not uncommon because we really are stirring the pot. And this is why I say that kind of work is not for everybody.
Right.
It's very deep work, but when you talk about mental health issues, addictions, all of that in dysfunctional families, how many of us have had that? This is just as wonderful because it's non-invasive. And a lot of people really enjoy the session. I ask people afterwards, oh, I feel good. I feel great, and they look great, right?
Right.
Because
So
it's just
so
lowering
would
their
a
burden, you know?
right. So would a client just come to you and be like, okay, I'm having trouble. Like, give me an example of what someone might come to you with.
Oh, like I had a client that said, I have ongoing chronic digestive issues. And over the course of, maybe, a dozen sessions or more, that completely resolved. She had tried everything. She'd tried supplements, she'd seen doctors, she'd all of this stuff, and she was intrigued, read about biofield tuning, said, I'd really be interested in a session. We did virtual because it was pandemic, and she was like, well, really? I'd rather do it in person. And we did that, and it really did work because actually, on an energetic level, the digestive system is where we store emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing in our culture, as you know, I'm sure, is that we're not taught to healthily express our emotions. I say healthily because anger is a hard one, right? It's easy to get angry and then hurt somebody as a result, unintentionally, if
Right.
you know. But we're so programmed. I certainly was, in a Germanic household, to hold everything in. So
Mm-hmm.
hold everything in. Don't you dare cry. You're also not allowed to feel anger if something happens where you're forced to do something you don't want to do or whatever. And so all of a sudden, all of this closed up feeling is in your body. And it's very hard to have a happy, joyful life, right?
Right.
Why was I depressed? Why was I anxious? Why did I go back and forth between those states for so long, and so unhappy? And I'd done decades of therapy, and that definitely helped. But we all know there's layers of the onion, and we're
Mm-hmm.
working to peel back those layers. And that's the other part. I had a gentleman come to me that had heart issues. And this is a little bit of not a success story per se, but I definitely, as soon as I did the first session, we got all kinds of trauma that came up, like just unbelievable trauma. And I wasn't surprised, but there it was. And the gentleman said, I thought I dealt with all that. I said,
Mm.
Well, it's all here in your energy field. In other words, again, he may have done, I don't know what he did, but he may have done talk therapy, which is very helpful, but it often doesn't deal with the underlying issues, the energetic component. We're chemical beings, electrical beings, and it just blew him away that that was the case, and that I found accurately found a lot of the traumatic experiences. But unfortunately, that was too scary for him, so he did not continue, which I
Mm,
think is really unfortunate because I really felt I could help this person. I really felt
right.
that.
So he'll be back. Don't worry. That's
Maybe,
usually,
maybe
he'll
we'll
start.
see, you know? Yeah.
I mean, you just never know because it's hard to deny those things, but that whole self-reflection is the hardest part of healing. So it's like you do your little magic and it comes up, and then it's like, okay, what do I do with that? I guarantee you he'll be back. So I'm going to check in with you in about 3 months.
Okay.
I think
Well,
he'll be back.
yeah, and I mean, it's subconscious is the other part where we don't even
Hmm.
realize, we don't even realize we're doing this until something, shines a light on it. And if we're courageous enough to go forward and see that and to do something about it, that's where the life-changing part happens. So we do definitely have choices about it, like you say. And yeah, I've had generational stuff come up for people where there was clearly some heavy duty generational trauma, difficulties that came up and in my own journey, that was one of the big light bulbs that came on for me was, wow, I had this heaviness in my body and I didn't know what it was. I mean, it just felt like depression um, and the piece that unlocked for me when I did some of the sound healing was, wow, this is not even mine. This is grief that was passed on to me from generations. And I know some of the background stories, of course, from my family,
Mm,
but it really unlocked it for me. And all of a sudden, I didn't, it brought some self-acceptance too,
right.
this real sense of, wow, it's not my fault. It's something I inherited. We don't often think of that, but think about it. When you're in the womb, we're picking up everything
Hmm.
energetically
Oh,
and
yeah.
down the ancestral line. So,
Absolutely. And it's good. It's always a little bit freeing just to be able to give yourself that validation that it's not my fault, because that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing is that kids, especially with trauma, they grow up, doesn't matter. Your brain is going to never think that it's your parents' fault because that's the person that you depend on the most. So it must be my fault. So you just turn around, everything gets turned around on you. And it's amazing that just, energetically how badly that gets stored though.
yeah.
So show me your tools. I know people that
Right.
if this is audio, you're not going to be able to see the tools, but
Yeah.
tell me about your different tools that you use.
Well, I have, like I was saying, many different ones. So I'll just kind of give you a little introduction with the sounds as well. So I have a whole set of beautiful alchemical crystal singing bowls. They're alchemical because they have literally, like this one has bits of earth from Sedona, and so you might even see
Oh,
some of
it's
that.
pretty.
So it brings in the mineral and crystal elements as well. And yes, it's one of my more aesthetically pleasing, although they all are beautiful. And the crystals, because our bodies are made of crystals, so our bones are made of crystals, and we have all of this in our bodies. So it's not surprising that these particular bowls usually have a profound effect on people. So I'll just demonstrate a little bit here. You can tell it's still ringing.
Mm-hmm. I can still hear it. And for the
Long.
people that are for the people that are listening that are not being able to see this, it will be on YouTube as well as in my Facebook group, Children of Dysfunctional Families Thriving Now. So you can check that out. So you can actually watch her do this too.
So how did you have any response particularly you want to share with
I
that
got
one?
real tingly in my back.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, everything's different. I felt it in my upper chest, which is interesting. So I might have some restriction there. Heart opening. This is the thymus area too. So I've been fighting a tiny bit of sinus infection. This might maybe my thymus is under stress, but I was feeling it quite vibrating really a lot here. So that was interesting. So another bowl that I have here is one of my Tibetan bowls, more of a metal bowl here. You can see, and I'm going to just play that. I'm hearing a little bit of
There
feedback
we
or
go. I turned
something.
it off. Sorry. Go ahead.
Not a problem. So that's just one example of
That's so neat.
bowls. Yeah. So I was feeling that actually in the belly area.
That one I was feeling a little more in my legs, which I don't know what that means.
Well, legs are part of our being grounded or an ungrounded feeling. So actually, a lot of people hold tension in their legs. It's not uncommon that in a session we'll spend, and even with an individual sound bath session, we'll spend quite a bit of time just grounding, getting that energy moving through the legs. You know, like yoga, you do these poses that get the energy moving. This is the foundation of our bodies. And so if that's out of whack, and there's a lot of challenges, like if we're exposed to a lot of electronics and such, a lot of us are walking around ungrounded, which is why I actually love living in the woods. I'm in the middle of the woods here. So actually, nature can do that for us as well. So walking out on the earth with our feet. So yeah, it's not unusual. You might, yeah, maybe there's just some energy moving through there. And do you want to hear some tuning forks now, just for a little
Yeah,
bit?
I had a question though.
Yes, go.
So when you do this, so you go into somebody and you're being intentional, but you just start to do these motions and then or these sounds and then see where they feel it and then kind of, I don't want to say diagnose, but kind of interpret from there and then you decide how to go forward or
That's a really good question. Nobody's actually asked me that one. But
sorry.
no, no, it's really good. Let me think about that. It's really what I want to say is it's very intuitive. So my thinking brain isn't thinking. It's more like in that more of that other brainwave state where I'm aware and I'm tuning into the person. Literally, our energies are connecting,
Okay.
and then based on what I'm feeling, which frequencies to use.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll do that before I even meet the person. I'll just set out the bowls intuitively and kind of go, well, this is what I feel this person might need. And I've never had anybody say, well, that was totally wrong. Um, so, and then with the tuning forks, again, what we're doing is we are using the frequency to find any disturbance. And but I can't say, well, this will now affect your digestive system or this will do this. It may, especially if, or again, coming back to intention, if we're intending to move the sound, perhaps the person came to me with a headache and we're working the third eye and we're intending for that, whatever is causing that, we don't even know. right? But so that's the part where it's like a bit of a mystery. I feel like a detective, and I'm kind of going, well, what is this? So no, we're not diagnosing.
Right.
But we are detecting. And then
Hmm.
I, of course, am interpreting based on my intuition and my knowledge, feeding that back to the person. And then the person says, well, that's interesting because when you said that, I felt this, or, when you use that tuning fork, I felt it very distinctly in my belly. And then
Hmm.
we'll start going down that. Well, what's that about? And all of a sudden, the person may have a memory of, the parent said something and was very abusive or very critical, and all of this stuff starts coming up, and all of a sudden, as we're working the digestive area, because sometimes we'll switch, all of a sudden the headache starts to disappear.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying is
It's
I
all
can see it.
connected too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all connected, exactly. So it's like going down this rabbit hole and pulling on this thread and seeing, well, where does this go, and following it. I feel like most of the time I'm following the client and trying to stay as open as possible and going with my intuitive hits about what to say or what's going on. And then they'll confirm or deny sometimes. And sometimes I'll just have to nudge them a little bit and I go, you might, see if there's any truth to that.
And I'm assuming there's some confirming in their head and denying in their mouth.
Oh, that definitely could be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure because like you're like, wow, how does she, it's just yeah, because it's interesting. Like, but every person I've ever dealt with that does Reiki or anything like that, it's always intuitive. I don't know how you guys have such a gift, but you do. So
Well, train it too. And I mean, that it can be trained. I've often thought, wow, it'd be kind of cool to do a workshop on intuition and developing that, but it can be learned. I think for me, I'm particularly wired to sound. I'm known to be very sensitive to noises. So, like I told my husband to get all his stuff out of the upstairs area because I don't want to hear anything. um, so, yeah, I'm very tuned into that. So that's, I guess, my skill. But,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, other people can learn to do that.
So how long would it take you to do like a little mini session?
A mini session, like what you now, or you mean for a person?
Either like for now. I mean, could you do one now or
Oh
is
yeah,
that
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I realized I didn't introduce you to any of the forks
Oh,
here.
I did want to see the tuning forks. I
Yeah,
interrupted you and I'm sorry about
yeah.
that.
No, 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 no. It ties in beautifully because I'll introduce these and then maybe I'll do a little bit of a tuning, because I can do that with whoever's listening. So this is the longest tuning fork I have. It's 144 hertz, and it happens to be connected to a beautiful rose quartz boot, which it just has an extra boost with the crystal. And if you use it on the body, you can feel it too. And here's what it sounds like. And you can watch, those of you who can see it, can watch the tuning forks vibrate. The times, I should say. So if I put my finger on that, it stops vibrating.
Mm.
So that's the 144. Then I've got, I'll play this one next. This is the 528. It's often called the love frequency. So we'll use that to wrap up a session, or if I feel like I felt with yesterday with the client that there was so much trauma in a spot that it just called for something softer and gentler and, literally love frequency. So I brought that in. Um, Okay, and then we've got what we call a weighted tuning fork, which you will not hear per se, unless I put it next to your ear, you could hear it. But since we're dealing with vibration, it doesn't matter that you can't hear it because you're still dealing with the energetic vibration. So this is one of the Schumann resonance forks. Schumann resonance is just basically the frequency that the Earth's ionosphere makes. So it's 7.83. This is one of the frequencies here. This is 52. is it 62.64. So you won't be able to hear this, but it's kind of fun. So you'll see the little weights on the barrel, here on the tuning fork, whereas before here you just had the tines. So you see little weights on it, and you won't hear it, but you'll see it.
Yep.
And this we also use on the body, which is pretty powerful too. So I have people that love the spine walk. We do a spine walk with 2 of these to release any tension along the spine. It's very popular in person. Okay, so you want a little mini session, you said?
Yeah, a little mini session. That'd be cool.
All right, cool. So just take a minute just to kind of feel your feet. And if you've got shoes on, maybe take those off, but you can just feel a little more on the connection in the feet, and just check in with your breathing in your body. Notice any tension. And just take note of that as we go through this. And your only job is to breathe and notice. So notice the energy and the breath flowing up towards the head, and then releasing on the exhale out through your feet. And this is the natural breathing. When we breathe naturally, our nervous system adjusts itself and our heart rate changes. So when we're stressed or tense, this is impeded, obviously. So I'm feeling and I feel in my body what I believe I'm picking up in clients. It's often confirmed, and again, it might be subconscious on their part, but I'm picking up right now some energy in the upper solar plexus, kind of between the heart and the solar plexus. That's the solar plexus is just that energy center. That's where the upper digestive system is. And if our diaphragm is locked, we'll feel it there too. So just notice if our breathing is measured or if it's natural, easy. So the solar plexus is all about our personal power. And when we're off on the right side, it's about anger, usually related to father or a male figure. And when it's out on the left, it's often has to do with depression, mother. So the fork just got really quiet there, and it just got a little louder. So I'm paying attention to the sounds the fork makes, because what we're believing right now, or choosing to believe, is that this fork isn't just playing tones, it's actually interacting with the energy that's present here right now. It could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody listening. So now I'm starting to feel a little more vibration happening in my upper chest. Like it's a little more freed. So continuing to breathe. So I'm feeling into anxiety as well. And of course, there's a lot of collective anxiety right now. planets are shifting. There's just a lot going on. So it's not particularly unusual at this point in most of our lives, but I'm just picking that up right now. It's kind of like this anxious ball of energy in the upper rib cage here, just below the below the sternum. So it's like this anxious little ball of energy. And it's almost like this sense of let's not say too much. Let's hold it in. It's this holding in feeling I'm getting. Keep it in. Don't be too loud. Don't be boisterous. Don't ask for what you want. Don't be powerful. All the don't be messages. So continuing to breathe, sending that energy out through your feet and bringing an energy through the top of your head. Imagining exhaling that anxiety all the way through your feet into the earth to be recycled. And just notice what you notice. So what are you noticing, Tammy?
Well, I noticed in the beginning it was very locked in my solar plexus. Like that was it, like couldn't even push the energy down into my feet.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So
that's how I felt.
you and I are definitely tracking then on the solar plexus there.
Definitely.
So it'd be interesting to see if other people are experiencing that, but not necessarily. Other people might be feeling it, the energy in their feet. They might be feeling stuff moving at their crown. It's very individual. But what we do know is that there's definitely, I'm feeling that anxious blob of energy, and I'm feeling it right there, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like, ugh, want to get it out kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling it's some more calm coming in right now. And my hands, it's part of it, I'm holding the tuning fork, but my hands all of a sudden feel like there's more energy in them, and sometimes I get painful joints. So I'm feeling energy moving through my hands, which is very welcome.
Which is
Again,
funny when you said, because right before you said that, my fingertips started tingling.
okay,
So I don't
that's
know if it's my hands or your hands. Maybe.
we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
It's likely your hands, but it's always one of those things where I go, wow, I am really feeling into the other person maybe as well. Because that sort of bears it out. I mean, I didn't know that. How would I have known that? Um, yeah, I was going to say something else. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I have a little block in my low back, so I'm just kind of noticing that's where I tend to hold tension is my low back. So that's interesting that it's kind of moved down in a way. I'm going to just bring in the other fork, the 528. I just felt my whole body just shift on that. Just feel more relaxed. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything's going to be okay, no matter what's going on in the world, everything's going to be okay. A lot of us, especially if we've come from dysfunctional families, trust is an issue, right? So trusting in the divine, trusting in the universe, trusting in life, good. trusting ourselves. I definitely feel a lot more energy moving here, just in general, up and down my spine. Like if I weren't talking to you right now, I'd be stepping out and walking. Sometimes I have people actually walking during their session. I'll just feel moved to say, if you want to move your body and get off the bed or wherever you are and start walking, you know, one person really got into that. So you just never know, but it almost feels like that kind of energy where, yeah, something got
Like
freed
my
up.
lower, yeah, I need to be like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to move. Yeah, yeah, and make noise. I mean, a lot of us were told, be still, don't move.
Hmm.
I mean, and all that subconscious stuff. And so we're releasing a lot of that old programming and the deep, that's deep, right?
Sorry, my dog's barking.
Yeah,
I knew it would happen.
yeah, they're missing out.
Yep,
Animals do love this work actually. Most of them calm down. Maybe he's jealous. Yeah.
I bet. Or he's
It's
just a spaz.
yeah. So anything else you wanted to share about that, Tammy, for you if
No,
you
that was really interesting. I could definitely feel it like tight, like the parts that you nailed them right on. And at the end, I was kind of like, oh, I need to get up, crack my back, move around a little bit because I could feel like, boom, it was all like in my lower rib cage for a while, for a minute.
Mhm.
But it wasn't when I first started, it felt like it was stuck. Like I wasn't able to get like I could breathe in, but I was, and I'm usually pretty, it's funny because I'm usually pretty good about feeling like I'm grounding myself,
Mhm.
but it was definitely not wanting to ground.
Yeah, and I mean that's just it, the layers, right?
Hmm.
So we are grounded, you've probably done a lot of personal work as I have, and still that things can get us off in
Hmm.
a moment pretty easily, or we can get more grounded. We didn't know that there was something else missing there, and yeah, I didn't go much into the energy field per se. We were just sort of going into the body there in the chakras, so that's
Hmm.
one part of tuning, but yeah.
Very interesting. What's one of my favorite books to share with people is The Body Keeps Score.
Oh
Just,
yeah.
it's just the basics of this is how it's stored, why it's stored, and everything else. And then it doesn't, like then it's like people can go to someone like you and release it, because it's gonna stay there regardless until it's dealt with.
Yeah, yeah, and this whole thing about believing what we've been told, mistaken beliefs, the story we've created from the traumas or difficulties we had, being the black sheep, which I was, whatever that story is, and really coming to the core truth of who we are, right? And that all these unconscious patterns, decisions we made based on things that happened to us, they're deeply worn grooves. And yeah, it's just amazing to me. As I go deeper and deeper, I go, wow, I had no idea that this was still operating, or there's a whole nother layer of this operating in my life. And yeah, it's amazing. Energy stuck in our fields, and our body is capable of releasing it and relearning, right? We all know about neuroplasticity
Right.
at this point, and this idea that things don't have to stay the same. We can change, and it's never too late.
Yeah, I always say that it's never too early and it's never too late.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, I love that.
never too, yeah. And that's when when I speak to, like, I like to talk to get younger kids that are still kind of in the throes of that and be like, now it's time to start dealing with all this, in your teens, in your early 20s, instead of waiting till you're 40 or 50. That's why it's just awareness, you
Yeah,
know.
and I think generationally, that's exactly what our generation has been dealing with is all the unmet needs, all the unprocessed traumas. It not their fault because I mean therapy is kind of a new thing really in our time. So those options weren't really there for many people at the time. I know my grandparents were farmers. They were concerned with survival. That was the
Right.
main thing. So they didn't have the time or the inclination or the opportunity. But we do, and I think it's incumbent on us to do our work, and for the next generation, if for ourselves, but also for the next generation, so that it's not taboo. It's actually a given. And the more, you're right, the sooner a young person can get going on that, I think the better, because then they're not going to spend their part of their life trying to rewrite the past. I mean, we're all going to want to do that, but I think there'll be fewer regrets, right? I
Right.
mean, but it's
Yep.
not an easy path, right? Addictions are huge right now. I mean,
Hmm.
that's an escape hatch that a lot of people are choosing just because it's scary. It is
Yeah.
scary going down that. We don't know what's going to come up. And I remember when I first started therapy, I thought, I'm not going to survive this. I will never survive all the feelings that are coming up. But I did, and I started to feel better, and it's okay.
Right.
Wow. So going down there actually helped me feel better. And that's the amazing part about healing work, as you know.
It's it's a never ending journey, but it's so worth it. So worth it,
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
and then we start to do things differently in our lives, and we surround ourselves with people who support us. And remember, energy is so insidious, really. I mean, we have to be careful who we spend our time with, right?
Hmm.
What we watch on television. Oh, I don't even watch television. I mean, I might watch the occasional news, something on YouTube or whatever. But what do we feed ourselves nutritionally and energetically?
Right.
How do we treat our bodies? And, are we moving? Are we getting out in nature? All of that is so critical to our well-being.
Yeah. We definitely need to feed it in a more positive way instead of all the energy suckers out there. There's
Yeah.
so many things are just like so toxic for
Well,
your
I
energy.
mean, I'm kind of addicted to my phone too, right? I mean, how
Hmm.
many people are? So I'm working on it's hard being on social media, right? I mean, it's a two-edged sword, as I always tell people. I like to, reach out and let people know what's available, and get to know people and connect and network, but I don't want to spend my entire life on the bloody device.
I,
I
I was actually at a conference this weekend and it was great because they had came up with their own platform and I don't know the name of it, but literally you can post on all of your social on one place and post it all out, kind of like Canva, but it's their own big thing. So it'll post on your Instagram, your TikTok, it'll do everything, but you never have to scroll. You're
Oh,
getting all your
nice.
messages, you're getting all of your stuff. So you can do everything you need to do on social media without scrolling the stuff that you're not involved in.
Okay,
And I thought, what a godsend.
Yeah,
Because
you'll have to tell me about that more
yeah,
later.
that's where you get stuck is you go, oh, I'm going to just post a quick live and tell my people I love them. And next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and you're like, oh, look,
Yeah.
America's Got Talent. And,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, and the younger people, I mean, I have to say, I'm a little bit concerned when I see younger people with their phones like they're an appendage. I'm going,
Mm,
wow, how
yep.
healthy is that?
Yeah. I mean, I caught myself the other day. I thought I'd left my phone at a restaurant or something. And literally the sheer terror came.
I know. How did they do it before, right?
I was like, yeah. And I used to like, it's like I tell my kids, it's like, God, you guys don't even know. Like the Saturday nights that I sat home, just standing by the phone, waiting for it to ring because, now it's like just waiting for it to ring. Like we didn't have a date and be with our friends at the mall and like it's a totally different world. But
I know.
it's crazy.
It
It's, but
is crazy.
but it's just knowing, like again, being aware that it can totally consume you and that it's not good energy. Flat
Sometimes,
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Other times, hopefully, something like this will buoy people up.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I absolutely love our conversation. I loved you coming on. I'm going to obviously put all of the notes, show notes, recordings, whatever it is, will be anything for you, links that you want will be in the show notes. But I also want you to leave our listeners with a word of advice or words of wisdom or some Just something from Sharon Buck.
Oh boy, no pressure.
No pressure.
Uh, yeah, I would say the follow your intuition, follow your heart. I think that's, pay attention to that, listen to that, because that's what's got me here, is listening to that, even when other people thought it was crazy or it wasn't the thing to do or it wasn't popular, whatever the old stuff is, just really, really keep listening to yourself. That's what I want to say because we all have that ability. And I think it's very important to listen to that.
Sounds
Yeah.
great. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
you're welcome. And I have a free retreat, free audios on the links that you've got there too. So hopefully people will check those out if they want to know, experience a little bit more. Yeah.
Absolutely. Check out for all the listeners out there, check out all the show notes because there's a bunch of freebies in there. So from Sharon, from myself, from everything. So definitely check it out. And we will see you next episode. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks so much, Tammy.
Thanks
Take
for coming, Sharon. I appreciate it.